Hi, I'm Santiago Alcocer, and today I'll be exploring the ToK exhibition prompt. What is the relationship between personal experience and knowledge? This question really made me reflect on how knowledge is not just something we learn from books or teachers, but something we gain and shape through what we live through. For today's ToK exhibition, I chose 3 objects from my own life that show how different types of personal experiences, emotional, symbolic, and action-based, can transform the way we understand and use knowledge. Well, first, let's begin with the first object. This is a photo of a Volkswagen GTI, which may seem like an ordinary car, but for me it represents a life-changing experience. A year ago, I was in a car accident while driving this vehicle, that is from my dad actually. I wasn't physically injured, and the car was eventually repaired. But emotionally and mentally, I was not the same. Before the crash, driving felt like a skill I had fully mastered. I knew the rules, I practiced regularly, and I was confident. But after this accident, I suddenly found that knowledge wasn't enough. Even though I still knew how to drive this vehicle, I was overwhelmed by the fear. Every time I got behind the wheel, my hands could be shaking and I felt like I couldn't trust myself or even the road. This experience made me realize something really important. Emotional experience can override technical knowledge. I had all the driving knowledge I needed, but I had to relearn how to apply it. This time while managing the anxiety and self-doubt I had with me. Now, over the time, I developed a new kind of knowledge, how to regulate my emotions, rebuild my confidence, and handle fear in high pressure situations. That wasn't something a textbook could teach me. It came from lived experience, from pushing through discomfort, seeking support, and practicing exposure. So, this subject could represent how personal experiences don't just teach us new information. They can reshape how we apply the knowledge, especially when emotions can be involved. In this case, the relationship between personal experience and knowledge was emotional, but also psychological, really deep. My second object is a small, elegant bracelet that belonged to my grandmother. She gave it to me shortly before she passed away, and I've worn it almost every day since then. Now, if someone else saw this bracelet, they might think it's a regular piece of jewelry, but for me, it's so much more than that. It's a connection to someone I love deeply. It brings back memories, emotions, and even a sense of spiritual comfort when I wear it. This bracelet helped me understand that not all knowledge is rational or factual. Some knowledge is symbolic, emotional, and also personal. The bracelet doesn't have any scientific power, but when I wear it, I feel supported. I feel stronger, more centered, especially in stressful situations. It reminds me also of her values, the calmness, strength, and kindness, and in a way that becomes a kind of moral and emotional guidance. When I'm in a tough moment, just feeling the bracelet in my wrist helps me pause, think, and act the way she would have encouraged me to. So, this object shows how personal experience gives meanings to objects, and through that, it gives us a kind of experiential knowledge. Not something we can prove, but something we can feel. It's knowledge rooted in memory, emotion, and identity. And even though others may not share it, that doesn't make it less valid. This expands our understanding of knowledge. It's not always about logic. It can be deeply emotional, personal, and symbolic too. Now, for my third object is a basketball pair of shoes. But not just any pair. These were the first shoes my parents bought me as a reward for showing real commitment to the sport. Back then, I was just starting out with basketball. I wasn't really sure how far I would go with it, and my parents weren't either, so they said to me, "If you stick with training and show us you are serious, will get you the proper shoes for you to play. This challenge motivated me. I practiced, I trained hard, and eventually I earned them. And when I finally held them in my hands, it felt like much more than just getting new shoes. It felt like proof that effort and perseverance led to reward. This is where I really learned what commitment and delayed gratification meant, not just as ideas, but also as lived experience. I could talk about hard work before, but now I had experienced it. The knowledge became internalized. I didn't just know it, I believed it, I felt it. This subject shows that personal experience can take abstract concepts and make them real. I learned a kind of motivational and emotional knowledge, how discipline builds self-respect, and how goals gives us direction. Without that personal journey, those values might stay abstract. But through the process, they became part of who I am. And that's something no book could have taught me on its own. Through these three objects I have presented you, a car, a bracelet, and a simple pair of shoes, we can see how personal experiences transform the knowledge. My car, for example, shows how trauma affects our ability to use knowledge emotionally and psychologically. My grandmother's bracelet revealed how emotional connections shape symbolic and spiritual knowledge. Lastly, my basketball shoes taught me how commitment becomes real through experience. Not just something we talk about, but something we can live. So what's the relationship between personal experience and knowledge? Well, it's not just that experience that helps us learn. It actually shapes the form of knowledge itself. It adds emotion, memory, identity, and belief to the mix. It turns facts into wisdom and values into action. Knowledge gained through personal experience becomes deep, embodied, and lasting. It becomes part of how we see the world and how we see ourselves. Thank you.